Why is it so important to track these animals? When people put radio transmitters in king cobras and track them down, it reveals a new world. It shows us what their lives are truly like. You wanna bite it? Come, you wanna bite it? Good, there we go. That's a nice bite. Chewing right down onto it, and she's gonna make quick work of this meal. Go ahead, grab it. Good. There we go. He's gonna go for a chomp right now. Perfect. Ziggy, you want some shrimp? That's a big shrimp. You want it? You want it? Come on, good girl. Come on, come on. Good girl. Where are you going? Is that good? Good girl. That's a good crunch. Oh! That's a really good crunch. Oh! That shell is really good calcium for her teeth developing. It's great for crocs. Good girl. Good girl. That's a happy crocodile. What is going on, beautiful people? I'm currently hanging out with Justina, my big female Indonesian king cobra. We're closing up her enclosure right now because what I had, she's very defensive. Oh, okay, we don't want her to hurt her face, but she's being very defensive right now because I was just taking out her tortoise hide right here, which is what she likes to hide in. So we're gonna be feeding her right now, and I had to take that tortoise hide out. So now we can give her food. We've got some Burmese pythons here. And as you guys know, Burmese pythons are from Southeast Asia. Here in Florida, we have a problem with invasive Burmese pythons. We have a huge number of Burmese pythons here in the Everglades to the point where python hunters are able to get anywhere from 8 to even 13 pythons in a night of hunting. A long shift of driving through the Everglades, up and down the levees, helping support our Florida Everglades by taking out invasive species like the Florida python. So it's not a real Florida python, it's called a Burmese python, and they're very common in the pet trade back in the day. There are a lot of breeding facilities, and one of the really big breeding facilities down here were destroyed in a major hurricane. And since this was before protocols with permits and secure enclosures, they weren't that secure. So when a building was destroyed back in the day, all the offspring, subadults, and breeding adults were released out into the Everglades unintentionally. So now we have invasive Burmese pythons here in the Florida Everglades. So I have many python hunting buddies out there that are nice enough to donate these pythons so I can feed them off to my king cobras, making them nice and happy, because obviously king cobras from Southeast Asia, they can actually find these Burmese pythons out in the wild and they feed upon them. They also feed upon red-tailed racers, which are big colubrids like rat snakes. They also feed on reticulated pythons out in the wild, and all sorts of other snakes, even pit vipers. These guys are snake hunting experts. They will literally go up to a pit viper or any other venomous reptile and make sure that they execute that grab precisely right behind the head, as if it was somebody working at a venom lab milking snakes. They have to grab that snake perfectly behind the head so they don't get bitten. The king cobras are experts at hunting venomous reptiles along with non-venomous reptiles, and they love to eat snakes and even monitor lizards. They've been observed, these guys have actually been observed to eat bangled monitors, also known as clouded monitors, biting them and venomating them all over until the monitor is subdued by the venom and they swallow that monitor lizard whole. And I'm sure we can throw some photos up. Bam! Look at that. That is insane, and that is why the kings are the king of all the reptiles. They eat venomous snakes, anything they can get down their gullet, and today we're going to show you guys them eating Burmese pythons. Now, these Burmese pythons, they don't have their heads, and I believe that is because it involves keeping track of how many pythons are brought in. They want to make sure that the python hunters aren't bringing the same pythons over and over again, trying to cash in on the same snake. So I believe that's why they cut off the heads, but it's perfectly fine. These snakes have eaten headless Burmese pythons in the past. Now, of course, I love Burmese pythons. I love reptiles. They're beautiful animals. But in the situation of them being invasive here in Florida, there are way too many of them. There's no way you can rehome every single python. Sadly, there's just too many. At least in this way, we got to use up the whole carcass and the animal doesn't go to waste. So we got Justina here. I'm going to put the python in. There we go. Be nice and safe about this. Oh, oh, oh. You want to bite it? Cool. You want to bite it? Good. There we go. That's a nice bite. Chewing right down onto it, and she's going to make quick work of this meal. As you guys know, Justina has a voracious appetite where she engulfs pythons with no problem. She's going to make a quick meal. Look at that. Enjoy this big, beautiful king cobra chowing down. Now, it's always cool to see these snakes eating in captivity in these videos. I know how much you guys love seeing these king cobras chow down. But if you guys would like to see king cobras actually hunting in the wild, the King Cobra Conservancy has a YouTube channel, and they post some of the videos from when they track king cobras out in the wild. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with the King Cobra Conservancy, it is an organization that has done nothing but dedicating their time to protecting king cobras out in the wild, going into villages, removing them from people's homes so they don't get killed, educating the public, as well as tracking these animals down in the wild. Now, why is it so important to track these animals? When people put radio transmitters in king cobras and track them down, it reveals a new world. It shows us what their lives are truly like, how much more in depth these snakes can be. These guys who dedicate all their time to tracking these king cobras have literally witnessed king cobras spending days and days on end traveling great distances looking for female king cobras, and in the process running into males that they believed were females, and then it turns into a battle of king cobras trying to fight over who gets to mate with the females in that territory. And what's really interesting is when you watch these videos, you get to see how intelligent they truly are. Two male king cobras, you would think they'd use their venom to kill each other so one could succeed and find a mate. No, there's no biting involved. These king cobras do nothing but a wrestling match where one male tries to pin the other one to the ground, and they keep pushing each other down until one gets tired enough and the other one pins it down. That's the loser. He rides off, and the one that still has enough energy, he's going to go mate with that female in the area. King cobras are just so interesting, and the only way we can find out information like this is by tracking them, by organizations like the King Cobra Conservancy dedicating so much time to figure out what's going on in the lives of the king cobra. So, if you guys want to help support conservation efforts for king cobras, not just in India, but in Thailand and Borneo, and soon to be the Philippines and other locations, then you guys can help support the King Cobra Conservancy by either buying a shirt, a hat, or just flat out donating some money. I know not everyone is able to donate money in the times of COVID, but man, if you can, definitely donate to the King Cobra Conservancy, because if you want to see king cobras in the wild one day, if you guys are admirers of reptiles, if you guys are infatuated with these animals, we need to protect the king cobras, and the only way to protect the king cobras is to protect their kingdom, their habitat. And the King Cobra Conservancy has fought day in and day out to protect that habitat. Let's go back to seeing some king cobras eat. I know, just wait a little bit longer. She's having her moment. Kevin's waiting with anticipation to get his meal. He's just looking around. He knows that there's pythons out. He sees them out on this little tray right here, so he's ready to go. Kevin's my Malaysian king cobra, and you'll notice that he looks significantly different than the king cobra up here, Justina. Kevin is a Malaysian locality, whereas Justina is an Indonesian locality. She has more of like an olive tone, whereas Kevin is like a beautiful sunshine yellow tone. Now, when it comes to king cobras, there's only one species, Ophiophagus hannah. They come from their own genus, Ophiophagus. At the moment, there's only one type of king cobra, but because king cobras are found in India and throughout Southeast Asia and the islands below, these animals could potentially be their own subspecies or their own species in general. And why is this important? Well, if something were to happen to the habitat of one of these separated species, then these animals can get protected because now they're only found in that area. So let's say they make Chinese king cobras their own species. That animal only being found in China, if it has a terrain that's about to get eliminated from deforestation, now that area can be protected because this species is declared as an animal only found in that country, only found in that habitat. So when there's talk of splitting up the king cobras and making them into multiple species, this is good news because that means that there's more protection for the animals. They haven't yet made them into their own species, but there is talk, and hopefully in the future there's around 3 new species of king cobra. Very nice. Conservation, preservation, making you happy should make you very happy. Right, Kevin? You're happy too? Huh? What is this, Kevin? He was telling me telepathically, conservation is a good thing. Justina. Oh, she's chomping down real good now. She's making quick work of that python. And look how there's an ooze coming out the corner of her mouth. You'll see that substrate's getting pushed out, which is good, but you'll notice that ooze. She does not have a respiratory infection. What is happening right now is she's salivating to make it easier to consume that python, to make it slide right down into her belly. So they do salivate just like people. Alright, beautiful people, we're going to be putting in her hide. I'm going to do this as smooth as possible. Ruth, you just stay very still. I'm going to make sure she brings her coil all the way over there. Let's try to avoid a bite. Now she's focusing right over. Alright. It's okay, sweetie. Just eat your food. No worries. She's hooding up as tall as she can in this enclosure, looking down at me, hoping to intimidate me, because she's just defending her little bit of territory. Let's make sure that's nice and locked. It's okay, it's okay. Alright, so let me turn off her light. There we go. And now we're going to be feeding the king, the real king. Kevin's right here. He's been waiting patiently the whole time. We're going to unlock his enclosure and feed him this slightly bigger python. It's probably around like 5-6 feet long. And we're going to make sure he gets a good meal today. Alright guys, we're going to get this python ready to go. Let me see, I'm going to bring this in there. Hey Kevin. Oh yeah, he's definitely hungry. Come on. Come on. You want it? He's like, yeah, I want it. Where's its head, man? Go ahead, Kevin. He's like, smells a little funky. Go ahead, grab it. Go ahead. There we go. He's gonna go for a chomp right now. Perfect. You like it? Huh? You gonna take it? Give it a good chew? Go ahead, bring it in there. Take in the rest of this body. Nothing like playing a little tug of war with your king cobra. Alright, I'm gonna put the body in here. You enjoy, buddy. He's like, yeah, just close the door. Justina, you need to just take a chill pill. Alright, now Kevin's gonna start chowing down on that python. Really good meal. And then not too long after this meal, we're gonna be soaking both of the king cobras, so that's an episode to look forward to. For now, enjoy Kevin chowing down on this big python. And just like Justina, you can see that he's salivating, but way more than Justina was to get that big python down to his stomach. Almost like a Komodo dragon oozing all that saliva down the corner of his mouth. He is such a beast of a king cobra. Alright, looks like Kevin's done eating his food. We're going to let him be. We just get his cover on his enclosure so he can have some privacy. Alright, beautiful people, that's going to be it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed this king cobra feeding. Now remember, if you guys want to become conservationists yourself, you want to make an effort for the king cobras out in the wild, you can donate to the King Cobra Conservancy, therefore helping king cobras out in the wilds of India, Borneo. So, if you want to donate, go ahead. If you buy a hat or a t-shirt, the money goes right back to the conservation of these beautiful animals. Thank you again for joining us on another episode of My Wild Life. I love you guys. Stay beautiful, stay safe. Check us out on Patreon to get exclusive content. Also, check us out on Teespring to get your own merchandise. I love you guys. Love your neighbor. Love your dog. Love your cat. And especially, love your anacondas. I love you guys. Anyways. I'll see you on the next one. Stay gangster. I'm a snake.